General Kethvar had conquered 17 star systems in his lifetime, each victory adding another gleaming medal to his ceremonial armor. The Zephyrian Empire had never known defeat under his command, their crystalline warships cutting through space like shards of deadly light. So when the small blue planet called Earth refused to surrender their outer colonies, Kethvar felt nothing but mild amusement. Humans, he clicked to his aide, mandibles chattering with disdain. Primitive mammals who barely crawled from their gravity 50 cycles ago. This will be over before the next solar alignment. The Zephyrian fleet positioned itself in Earth's outer system, a magnificent display of technological supremacy. 300 vessels bristling with plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight into prismatic warnings of doom. Kethvar opened a communication channel to Earth's leadership, expecting immediate capitulation. Instead, he found himself staring at a middle-aged human woman sitting in what appeared to be a classroom. Behind her, equations covered a primitive writing surface, and small humans, offspring, he realized, sat at crude wooden desks. The being wore simple clothing and thick optical correctors over her eyes. "I am General Kethvar of the Zephyrian Empire," he announced, his translator rendering his clicks and chittering into human speech. "You will surrender all outer system colonies within 1 standard day, or face total annihilation." The human female, Sarah Chen, according to the data stream, adjusted her glasses and smiled. "General, I'm currently teaching my 5th grade class about conflict resolution. Would you mind if we made this a learning opportunity?" Kethvar's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. In all his conquests, no species had ever asked to turn their surrender into an educational exercise. What? "Class, we have a visitor today," Sarah said, turning to the small humans. "General Kethvar has a problem he thinks can only be solved through violence. Who can tell me what we usually do when someone is angry and wants to fight?" A small human with missing front teeth raised her hand. "We ask them why they're really upset." "Excellent, Maya. General, why are you really here? What does your empire need that you think you can only get through war?" Kethvar's mandibles twitched. This was absurd. He commanded the most feared fleet in the galaxy, and this soft creature was treating him like one of her offspring. "We require strategic resources. Your outer colonies have rare Earth elements essential to our technology." "I see," Sarah nodded thoughtfully. "And you believe the only way to obtain these resources is by taking them by force?" "It is the way of strength. The strong take what they need from the weak." Another small human raised his hand. "But that's stealing. My mom says stealing is wrong because it hurts people." "Out of the mouths of babes," Sarah murmured. "General, has anyone ever simply asked to trade with you for these resources?" The question caught Kethvar off guard. Trade? The concept wasn't foreign to the Zephyrians, but it was considered beneath military conquest. "We do not beg for what we can take." "Who said anything about begging?" Sarah walked to her writing surface and began sketching. "Class, what do we call it when both people get something they want?" "A win-win," the children chorused. "Exactly. General, what does your empire have that others might value?" Kethvar found himself actually considering the question. Our crystalline technology is unmatched. Our ships, our energy systems, our medical advances. So you have something valuable to offer. Now let me ask you something else. How do you feel after you conquer a planet? Victorious, powerful. But how do the conquered people feel? One of the children spoke up. Scared and sad. And angry. Right, Tommy. And when people are scared and angry, what do they usually want to do? Fight back, another child said quietly. Sarah turned back to the general. How many resources do you have to spend keeping your conquered worlds under control? How many ships, how many soldiers? Kethvar's silence stretched long enough that his aide began to worry. The general was calculating, his tactical mind working through the implications. Nearly 40% of the Zephyrian fleet was devoted to occupation duties. Rebellions were constant. Resources that could fuel expansion were instead consumed by maintaining control. Class, can anyone think of a better solution? Sarah asked. A girl near the back raised her hand. Why doesn't the general just ask nicely and share? Sarah smiled. Revolutionary thinking, Emma. General, what if instead of conquest you tried partnership? Partnership? Kethvar's translator struggled with the concept. Mutual cooperation. Your crystal technology could revolutionize our energy systems. Our rare earth elements could enhance your ships. Both our peoples prosper. Both remain free. No resources wasted on occupation. No constant fear of rebellion. The classroom fell silent except for the gentle hum of the life support systems. Kethavar stared at the primitive writing surface where Sarah had sketched two circles overlapping, labeled Zephyrian needs and human capabilities. I have never, he began, then stopped. In his entire military career, no one had ever suggested that there might be alternatives to conquest. The Empire's philosophy was simple. Take what you need, crush resistance, maintain control through fear. But this human teacher had just outlined a strategy that could potentially yield greater resources with zero maintenance costs and no military losses. You would trust us? He asked, his voice uncharacteristically uncertain. Trust is built through actions, General. Small steps. Perhaps we could start with a single trade agreement? Your medical technology for a modest amount of rare earth elements. If it works well for both sides, we expand from there. One of the children raised his hand again. Teacher, what if the General tries to trick us? Sarah nodded seriously. That's a very important question, David. What do you think, General? What would happen if you betrayed a trade agreement? Kethavar considered this. Other species would learn of it. They would not trust us. Future partnerships would become impossible. And what would happen to your reputation as a military leader if you achieved your strategic objectives without losing a single ship or soldier? The General's compound eyes widened. He had never considered that victory through diplomacy might be viewed as superior to victory through violence. In Zephyrian culture, the general who achieved maximum gain with minimum loss was celebrated above all others. Class dismissed for early recess, Sarah announced. The children filed out, several waving cheerfully at the screen. Well, General? What do you think? Kethavar looked out at his massive fleet, then back at the simple human classroom. A teacher with primitive tools had just accomplished what no military strategist in Zephyrian history had ever achieved. She had shown him a path to victory that cost nothing and risked nothing. I believe, he said slowly, I would like to schedule another lesson. Perhaps we could discuss the finer points of these trade negotiations. Sarah Chen smiled and picked up her lesson planner. I think we can arrange that. After all, the best teachers never stop learning themselves. As the communication ended, Kethavar turned to his bewildered aide. Send a message to the Imperial Council. We're going to try something new. In the end, the Zephyrian Empire did gain access to Earth's rare elements. They also gained something far more valuable, their first ally. And Sarah Chen gained a new title, though she still preferred teacher to diplomatic advisor to the Zephyrian Empire. Sometimes the most powerful weapon is simply asking the right questions.